G'day guys, Eno here. Welcome back to the channel. And as you can probably tell by the title, um, in NFL SportsDeck, I am well and truly cursed. Only 470 this week, which was pretty terrible in relation, only 38%. And we're 4,900 total score on the dot, which is only ranked 300. So just 200 to 300 ranked for the past few weeks is just pretty much doing my head in. But there's not much you can do when every quarterback you trade in goes to shit, and every quarterback you trade out turns into prime, I don't know, Aaron Rodgers, prime Tom Brady, prime Patrick Mahomes. Well, but as you can see, brought in Lamar this week, and to be honest, that was looking very, very bad until he got a junk time touchdown to Mark Andrews when that game was already over. So that sort of saved his score. And Josh Allen finally sort of got going again after a very poor showing last week when I brought him in. Um, and yeah, traded out Patrick Mahomes, and this is the week he decides to just throw 5 touchdowns. Okay, well, whatever. There's not much you can do. You just, I don't even know. I got no words for it. But anyway, running backs were half good and half bad again. Look, JT's been unbelievable since bringing him in. Najee's been unbelievable all season. So those two aren't going anywhere for the rest of the season unless something happens to them. But the Darrell Henderson trade in has been an absolute stinker. He only had one really good game against Houston, and the other four have been 12, 13, 15, so or 14. So yeah, absolutely terrible. That run, the Rams have looked really bad lately. They got the bye this week, so he is absolutely going. And Javonte, man, this kid is unreal. He just got it was a little pass play in the red zone, and made a guy miss as he's done all year, and called back for offensive holding and got a touchdown wiped off him. So he's looking for a nice 20 odd 30, but unfortunately, just another sort of a 10-11 score, which there ain't much you can do about. But yeah, holding him all year, and hopefully maybe down the stretch, he can be some good cover if they eventually give him the full workload. But to be honest, I just don't see it happening until next year. But anyway, it's Derrick Henry. You can still see sitting on the bench, which we'll absolutely trade this week to CMC, which is a move I probably, obviously, in hindsight, should have done last week and just kept Mahomes. But that's what happens. Cooper Cup, again, didn't find the end zone and scores 35. Just ridiculous, has been all year. Tyreek Hill, obviously, at least I still had him and Kelsey with the bounce back game for the Chiefs. Got in the end zone twice, I think, and he looked really good. They were using him very well. More short plays, not because that's been the issue that Paddy's been trying to throw deep to, cover two safeties, and that just hasn't been hitting all season. And I think I read that they faced the Raiders, and the Raiders don't play much cover two. So whilst they could have thrown some more deep shots, they it's good to see they were still taking the easy stuff, which is what they should have been doing weeks ago. So good to see from him and Devontae, pretty underwhelming so far. I mean, Rogers, first game back from COVID, they sort of were never really under threat. It was sort of probably the most boring game of the weekend, but I really think they'll start to open up. And now that Aaron Jones is down for a few weeks, look for Devontae to just get absolutely fed the ball over the next few weeks. Diggs, where has this been all bloody year? Really good to see Josh Allen feeding him. This week, finding the end zone, huge catch, and I think it was 60, 70 yards. So we love to see that, which is good. Glad I held him through all the sort of average games. And he should finish the year really strong. Cordell Patterson, that was a disappointing one. Rolled his ankle, I think it was in the first quarter, maybe the second, but yeah, didn't return, or he returned for a bit, but then didn't go in the second half. And since it's a short week, they play, as you can see, on Friday against the Pats. I doubt he gets up, as far as what I'm reading, so that's a disappointing one, because I've said a few times I probably would have traded him at some point, but it probably was getting to the point where I would have just held him all year. He's been that good, so yeah, I've got other areas to deal with at running back, so he will, if he misses, have to stay, and then just bring one of the boys on off the bench, and then Terry. It's disappointing that they won the game. They played pretty well, and Terry didn't see a lot of it. I mean, SportsDeck does highly rely on touchdowns. He did see a fair bit of it. Um, what did he get? 11 points for. Yeah, I'm not even going to work that out. I can't remember his stat line, but it was decent enough. Just didn't find the end zone, so there's not much you can do. But yeah, for what I'll do is obviously I think I'll bring Devontae on. Sorry, if for Cup no matter what. But then it's if so, Cordell's out. Elijah Moore will have to do for a week. Tight end, Kelsey bounced back, of course, we said before, and Pitt's just with another average game. The Falcons got absolutely wiped. So Matty Ryan didn't look too good. Hopefully that's just a sort of not a one-off. I mean, I've sort of already called that early in the year that you can't trust him too much now. He's quite past it, and they do get the Pats this week, so it might not be the best matchup. But yeah, just tight end's been a bit of a mess all season. So um, it is interesting. I'll get to it actually in a bit. That there are a couple of options if you had the luxury of trading at the tight end position, but for now, you just sort of probably hold these guys and roll with them to the end. And Hawkinson, mate, he played. That's a full zero. He was not existent at all in that game, which is weird. I mean, they got the tie line, so they avoid the 0-17 or the 0-17 this year. But yeah, someone in the Discord actually had him on field instead of Pitts, and for whatever reason in this game, I don't think it's the same in Supercoach, but yeah, if you play a full game, if you're still on zero from no stats, it counts as an actual donut, and he got the score of Pitts from the bench, so probably a bit stupid, but anyway, that's the way they've set it up. Boswell, he was the other one I brought in because Evan McPherson was on bye, so kicker's a kicker, got a decent score from him. You just take it and run. And the defenses, well, haven't they turned to shit? Funnily enough, the one that was going terribly for the first half of the season and the one I decided to trade out for the Rams was the Niners. And against the Rams, they go and score whatever it was. I haven't even checked, but they got a pick six and kept in pretty low score, and it's probably 20, 30 points. But yeah, that's just the way it goes with defenses. You can't really predict it. Like with the Henderson trade in, we thought the Rams defense would sort of wipe the floor with a few teams, but that hasn't been the case. They did very well against the Giants, and since then, just some sort of mediocre scores against teams you would expect them to get better against and whatnot. But they struggled against the Lions early. They did win the game eventually, but that was bad. Then Houston, they absolutely wiped them, but of course they sat the starters, and Houston put on I think it was 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, just absolute junk. So that sort of killed the score there. But really, again, in this game, it's sort of touchdown dependent. So if you think you can predict a defensive touchdown, then by all means, pick who you want. But really, it's just more luck than anything as well. Defense and kickers. So, well, the whole game, of course. But yeah, defense more than anything. Just the fact that points scored. Any team on the day can score against most defenses. So it's not like you're going to heavily predict it anyway. And then even if we saw with the Houston game, it can still shit like that can happen. So, yeah. So this week, pretty simple. I have to get rid of Daryl, and Gainwell's just pretty much non-existent. It'd be nice if that was a Daryl Williams who might still play for another week and whatnot. But back when I got Gainwell in, it was before all those backup running backs started to come in. So that was disappointing, but not much you can do. So got to trade Derek, got to trade Daryl. And if we go by average, CMC, honestly, 42 he scored last week. Ridiculous. Didn't find the end zone. It was like, 90 yards rushing, 10 catches for 60 yards receiving, and scores 40. And that's pretty much what you would call his floor. So his break even's down to 41, as you just saw. And yeah, I think it's now or absolutely never to bring him in, especially considering he does actually have the bye in a couple of weeks too. So yeah, Washington this week, the Dolphins next, then he get the bye. So yeah, pretty much now or never for him. Do monitor, and I will be just reports on him because he's still did sit out I think the fourth quarter in that game just because they were up so much, and he was on the sidelines. They showed him sort of rubbing his hammy and on the foam roller. So do monitor it. It is a little risk, but the fact that he's so dominant, if he is healthy and playing, I just think you have to bring him in. And then here is the next one. I think Eckler is the one I will. Zeke's interesting just because he does have KC this week, who leak quite a lot than the Raiders, but it's not the easiest run. I mean, Washington, I was originally thinking was tough, but now that Chase Young's gone down, it's not the most difficult matchup. Although their front seven is still pretty good. Giants, not much. The Saints are quite good too. So the KC Raider matchups are really looking tasty, but after that, it doesn't. It's not amazing per se. Cardinals are quite good too, and then Philly the last round's nothing. But the one, yeah, I think I just will have to look at is Eckler. He does have a fairly high break even. This week, Pittsburgh isn't the greatest matchup, so that's a little bit annoying. But it does pretty much open up after that. The Broncos haven't looked great. Excuse me, lately. The Bengals either. Giants nothing, KC nothing, Houston nothing, and then Broncos and Raiders. So that's really nice matchup. Just besides the Pittsburgh straight up matchup this week, but um, the only other slight concern is the Chargers haven't really got it going lately. So you hope they can sort of start to get on a roll here, especially with the pressure of the Chiefs are now back on top of the division. So they've got incentive to actually get it going um, for this last sort of third of the season. So if we do that, I sort of have to trade the running backs there to get a couple guys on the field and playing. That's the way I'll set up. It's not the greatest at all. I mean, I'm actually not overly upset with Devonta's been unreal the last couple of weeks, and they've been passing a lot more, which is good for Devonta. And Elijah Moore has been really good too. Found I think it was a junk time touchdown last week, but yeah, the week before was really good. Get Dolphins this week, who aren't an amazing matchup. That's that can be decent for him, and hope he does well. That's sort of what I got to do anyway. So thing is this week with his captaincy that it's not. I don't even think I really have a chance of using a loophole. Or there's no. So if we look at like the late games, don't have anyone here. If you had Mahomes, that'd be nice. Backup captaincy, and I guess I could do Tyreek and Kelsey, and even Zeke if you had him. They're sort of your backup Cs, and then obviously your VC anyone in here. VC Allen, Lamar, who else? Um, Debo, I guess if you got him, I'd love to have him in this game. Didn't get him in a few weeks ago. Some other decent matchups, I guess. No, there's no one really. Derek would have been nice against Houston, but yeah, so probably VC. I'm just gonna stick with Josh Allen against Indy. I think. Oh, it's tough. Maybe Lamar. Maybe Lamar. I have to think about it. But yeah, and then have my backup captaincy maybe as Tyreek or something. Yeah, that's pretty much where I sit. Doesn't look too great. Still about, you know, off the top 100. If we just quickly look in the league. No, whoops, go league. It's where the other guys sort of are. I mean, no one in this league is top 100 anymore. A couple of my mates are up there. George has fallen back a bit. Yeah, so it's probably about 5,000 points, even more. They're still probably about 100 or so off top 100 points, and it's very hard to make up. Sort of at this time, you need a pod optin. Well, you need to know your captaincy, of course, but you need sort of your poddish players to go well, which for me is going to be these wide receivers this week. Terry himself as well, still sort of stuck with him for a bit. Um, and yeah, as you can see, I'm going to cop a donut in the defense department this week, just because again, if it happens, I miss out on 4 points like I got last week. Who really cares? And then we'll maybe look at trading there next week, but I'll just stick with these two probably for the rest of the year. I don't know how good their matchups are. Not great for Denver the next two, and the Rams. Who do they get after the bye? Green Bay, not great either. Jacksonville's right there. So yeah, maybe we trade there, maybe not. I'd like to flip a receiver for someone a little bit better, but we'll see. We'll see. And quickly, I'll just go to the home league where I'm actually quite more happy with this than SportsDeck, but beat Scotty this week quite convincingly, really, in the end. He had a couple injuries and just some poor performances from, AJ Brown, Terry not great, Aaron Jones getting injured, Sutton's hasn't been great. Um, he got negative points from his defense. T Law hasn't been great. And I was just getting sort of, plugged in Dennis Johnson for a 20-pointer. CD got a couple of touchdowns. Ayuk, Debo's still the man, let's be honest. Higby found the end zone. Darrell Williams, great plug-in again. He's been good to me since getting him off the waivers. Tyler Johnson had to plug him in because I myself have quite a few injuries and guys to come back. Simeon's been decent pickup for a couple of weeks. And then Tennessee was not much. But yeah, who were on bye? I had, Booker on bye, who I think Saquon's back anyway, but Monty, AB out again. Hopefully he's back soon. Tony bye. So, the way we'll set up this week, if we go to week 11, is obviously Lamar, Eckler, Monty back on field after being on IR for a bit. CD, he's got some issue with his shoulder, or is it hand? I can't remember. That's something in his arm, some arm contusion, whatever the hell that is. So hopefully he gets up. Ayuk will have to field. Dan Arnold will have to pick up, and then we'll just see who plays here. But yeah, still got AB out, and then Damien Harris. I'm not too confident on rest of season, to be honest. We'll see. We'll see how he goes. But yeah, I'm going to lose like Darrell Williams. To be honest, he'd probably still be involved, but Clyde will come back eventually. Um, Booker, yeah, it'll pretty much be done once Saquon's back, and then if he stays healthy. So we'll lose a couple of good starters, and just hopefully AB comes back for me in the back half. So yeah, looking okay. Sitting, I think, second, 8-2, with another guy's 8-2. Third, 7-3. And then there's just a real clunk in here of 5 guys, 5-5. So top 6 in this league, 12-man league. Top 6 make playoffs. Top 2 get a bye. So hopefully just stick top 2. But yeah, going to be interesting to see who can get into the playoffs at the end. That's it, guys. Follow me on Twitter. It's now NO at FTTV. Fantasy Take TV is the name that George finally came up with after about 4 weeks of deliberation. But that's where you find me. And yeah, see you guys next week.